That's not good.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. I haven't heard that in a long time. Please rise. Phil Gormley, would you lead us in the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Blast from the past.
Debbie, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hurd,
Here.
Commissioner Coe,
Here.
Commissioner Fawns,
Here.
Commissioner Salonitro,
Present.
President Zuckerman.
Here. And Commissioner Rosenberg is away on business this evening. Our first item of business will be the adoption of minutes of December 18th, 2018. If there are no additions or corrections, may I have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment on non-agenda items. Does any member of the public wish to speak on an item not on the agenda? Seeing none. Our first item of real business is a proclamation to recognize Mac Angels and the sponsors of Ray's Polar Plunge at our Rytown Park. Did I announce that this? I don't think I said that this is the Rytown Park Commission meeting of January 15th. Should have started with that. For those who are watching on television, don't realize that. I have a proclamation. Ray, would you come up? Ray, yes. Phil, would you come up, please? The proclamation is on, it says Town of Rye, but it's really for the work you do throughout the city of Rye and the area, and especially for Ray's Polar Plunge on New Year's Day. The Rytown Park Commission is recognizing the accomplishments of Mac Angels Foundation, which is your foundation, founded in memory of your sister Claire, on behalf of families living with ALS, which, as we all know, is a terrible disease, often known as Lou Gehrig's disease. And Mac Angels has sponsored the Polar Plunge now for 17 years, and it has grown not only as a charity for Mac, do we get contributions that are distributed on behalf of Mac Angels, but now as well for the Challenged Athletes Foundation, which serves athletes who have lost the use of their limbs and still participate in events, as well as the Soul Riders, the local cancer support group that we all are aware of, and two Portchester soup kitchens, the Caritas and Don Bosco. We note that a number of the PALS families came to our Polar Plunge. We had hundreds of participants. It was a magnificent event. And we acknowledge that that it has become a community tradition known as Ray's Polar Plunge after its founder, Ray Kelly. And that our community, the Rytown Park community, the city of Rye, the town of Rye, village of Rye, village of Portchester, area of Rye Neck, is a loving and supportive community. And we also recognize a big thank you to the Rye City Police Department, and especially the Public Safety Commissioner Robert Falk, and the Portchester Rybrook Ambulance Corps and its director Scott Moore, and of course to the Polar Plunge's founder Ray Kelly. And we resolve that the commission proclaims Tuesday, January 15th as Mac Angels Day within the town, and I think I can say the city of Rye as well, maybe.
Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. And Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Also, want to acknowledge, Phil does a lot more. Phil is also chairman of the Westchester Triathlon Board that has a fantastic event involving, I would guess, thousands of athletes that start at Rytown Park. goes through the city of Rye, the village of Portchester, and the village of Rybrook. So Phil is a citizen of all of us, and I guess you're a Rye City resident, is that
Yes,
correct?
that's
Yes.
correct.
So, once again, thank you. You wanna do, this is your lovely wife?
Yes, my wife Mary. It was a big volunteer that day,
She, it wouldn't have happened without her.
that's for sure.
Take a photo with everybody.
Okay, that'd be wonderful.
Nice.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Sit down, photo op, come on.
You're very welcome.
We're gonna get a photo op here? Let's go. Gosh, we wanna cry,
I
Joe.
know he does.
Oh,
We're gonna photo bomb.
We'll get a photo.
Photo bomb?
No, photo's in the way.
come on, Benny.
This is,
Move
let's
up.
go.
Emily,
Get a better
we-
spot? Yeah, please. Thank you.
Oh, but we're not really people. Maybe we should just go to the sides. I have jeans on.
I'm absolutely zero. You know what, ever heard of zero? Like nobody? That's
Yeah,
me.
I know.
Nobody.
About to
I can't stand next to Toby. So I'm standing.
Okay.
Here you
Come on, man.
go, Emily.
I'm really inappropriately dressed on the bottom half.
We promise not to.
Only gonna get your face.
We're not gonna take a picture of your ankles.
She has slippers?
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I just want to,
Thank you very much.
really thank the commission, and, you know, it's, just
Great
such a
job.
fantastic facility, and the charities really appreciate it, and it's become a wonderful tradition, and it's, you know, it involves everyone, and we had this young character over here take the plunge, so, it was very
It's so
nice.
freezing.
We had a balmy day this year, but the water was still cold.
It was amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you, thank you.
Thank you.
He's such a nice guy, he really is. Next item is authorizing the commission to accept a $3,500 grant from the Elks for assistance in renovating the Rytown Park bathhouse. And I'd like to thank the Elks for this contribution. It is one of our local people. Ray Skulke is instrumental in securing that grant. He's a member of the Elks, and the grant is very, very much appreciated to help us on our ongoing capital effort to improve the park. So may I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll move on the
Second.
resolution.
Call the roll, please, Debbie.
Commissioner Hurd?
Yeah, can I just ask a quick question about it? I'll just vote yes.
Commissioner Hurd?
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn?
Yes.
Commissioner Falanka?
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro?
Yes.
President Zuckerman?
Yes. And our next resolution is to change the date and location for February's meeting to February 12th, 2019. And it will be at Rye City Hall, and we thank the City of Rye for making the facility available to us. The reason for the change is that many of the town's elected officials and employees will be attending the Association of Towns meeting at that particular time and will not be here. So may I have a motion and a second to
Before-
change?
Yeah, but again, as I mentioned to you when we came in, the March meeting also has a conflict. It's village elections on the 19th of March. So it'd be kind of hard for us to get
We'll
there.
get,
So just want to give you a
we'll
heads
get
up.
we'll change that at the February meeting, the
appreciate that.
March date.
I just want to give you a heads up that it has
Okay.
to be dealt with.
You made the motion.
I make the motion to change this one, yes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All right.
The next one is for permission to the permission for the commission to enter into a license agreement with the City of Rye to install footings underneath the city-owned property, which is basically the sidewalk on Dearborn Avenue, as part of the rebuilding of the Dearborn Avenue seawall. It is my understanding that the City of Rye has also passed a similar resolution to do this, and this is a mirror of that, I believe. So may I have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
Call the roll, please, Deb.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Falanka,
Yes?
Commissioner Salanitro, President Zuckerman.
Yes. And next resolution is to adopt an anti-harassment policy. And Deb, you were instrumental in this. Would you give a brief explanation of that, please?
Yes. In the state budget, a new provision
Last
was. Last year.
Last year's.
In the current state budget, there was a provision adopted that established a new standard for anti-harassment policies required of all governmental agencies and setting an example for all organizations in the state of New York. And this policy is drafted by an attorney from our Labor Council, Vince Toomey's office, Heather Harrison, who worked in concert with the state policymakers to write this policy. So the policy that we are adopting is absolutely in step with the requirements of the state policy. I would add that many of you will be introduced to the fact that anti-harassment training will be required of absolutely everyone. So that includes our council and commissioners.
So basically, I believe that it's required so that the city of Rye officials and the town of Rye officials and the village of Portchester and village of Rybrook officials will all be required to have that training under state law. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We're already doing it in Portchester.
Yeah. So we're going to have separate training for Benny.
Thank you. I look forward to that.
All right. May I have a motion in a second, please?
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Commissioner Hurd,
Yes.
Commissioner Cohn,
Yes.
Commissioner Falanka,
Yes.
Commissioner Salanitro,
Yes.
President Zuckerman.
Yes, thank you. And now, we're going to have a discussion regarding our parking solutions. We have our committee members here, headed by Russ Gold. Russ?
Yeah,
Okay, I'll look for it. Okay, thank you. Bye.
hi, Russ Gold. As far as the discussion is concerned, I think I just wanted to give you, unfortunately, Rita, our consultant, who where I understand we're going to extend her contract into the hopefully extend her contract into the implementation phase of our proposals. She was unable to attend tonight, so I just kind of wanted to give you an update, give the commission, those of you who have not been able to attend our meetings, that we're going to start to go, we're going to continue to go forward. We have the support of President Zuckerman and Debbie and some of the other commissioners to see if we
Emily
can,
was at the last meeting.
yeah, you know, Emily and Benny's been at a couple, to continue to go forward and start and see if we can make some substantive changes in substantive improvements in the current parking situation at the park. To it, Debbie put out today, asked the city of Rye, and will also ask the city of the village of Portchester and the village of Rybrook to see if they can help us out.
Also the village of Amerenik. The village of Amerenik as well, yeah.
Okay, great. And the village of Amerenik as well, to see if they can help us with one of our first initiatives, and that's to see if we can use one of their street sweepers to clean up the current paved parking area that we refer to as Lot A, in the hopes that, and then do some minor pothole repair, see if we can just fix the major flaws in it, because our initial thought of going to doing a micro-surfacing process as opposed to a full repaving, because we know what the cost of that would be. We found out through Benny's efforts that the current parking area, the paved parking area is too degraded to accommodate a microsurfacing solution. Therefore, we're going to try to do an end run here and see if we can get started and make those areas much more efficient by laying them out more coherently. And by that, we want to, as I said, use some of the street sweepers that the towns, the cities and villages have to clean it up, and hopefully do get some of the DPWs to help us with pothole repair, and just to get us sort of a level playing surface, with the hopes of restriping the current area so we can get off to a good start. Then after that, and we're still, Deputy informed me today that we're also working towards using our current maintenance contractor, Zika. Is that who it is? Yeah. Thank you. To help us demolish the tree wells, these standing tree wells that are currently in the Lot B area, to see if we can again level that out and stuff, and lay that out to more efficient, so we can make it more efficient and maximize its usage. And while this is all going on, Rita is working on getting us some solid cost estimates from the various vendors and service providers for the automation component of this project. That means purchasing or leasing pay stations, and doing all the infrastructure work that's required to get this program running, to move to sort of a full automation thing. And at the same time, we'll also be looking at continuing to improve the traffic flow and safety, and mitigating some of the safety concerns that people have as far as going in and out of the various parking areas. So we're moving forward. As I said, we hope to have more, some real numbers for you all to consider. And I'm sure I missed a lot of things here, but if you have any questions, I'd love to hear.
Russ, I'd just like to talk about the pay solution. I think that the residents may be wondering, what we're going to do compared to how it's always worked in the past. And most people who use the park know that we have an attended booth where people drive in, they have to stop at the booth, they have to pay to get in, much of that with cash, and cash handled basically by teenagers. And we do take credit cards, but the entire process is slowed down to get people into the lot. And when it's busy, we have 2 lines going in, so it's really difficult to get out. The theory is that we would use currently available automated technology and eliminate the booth going in completely, and that we would have an app on the telephone, as many communities now do, and I believe the city of Rye is going to that app as well for parking. Pardon me? And Portchester, right, Portchester's going to, and I know that it's at the Metro North train station, so people are familiar with that. And they won't be marked spaces, but the entry of your license plate. And the commission will have to decide what the rates would be, whether we're going to keep the same structure we have or change the structure. But the overall idea is to make it much easier and people-friendly. There will also most likely be kiosks, as they have also in some municipalities and at the malls, for people who don't use the parking app.
Right, the goal, yeah, I didn't mean to cut you up, but right, you're absolutely right. The goal would be not solely by pay station. You would have pay by phone opportunities. You
Right.
would have permits, and people, that your parking would be included in the permit, and you can just
Right.
presumably scan your permit. But the idea, the end goal is to be fully automated, and that you're not handing it, even though you can pay, or at least I expect that you would still be able to pay by cash at one of the pay stations.
Correct.
But you're not, the key here is that that becomes instantly a recorded transaction by the computer inside the pay station. You're not handing cash off to
That's right.
another
We're
human
going to
being.
basically be eliminating the handling of cash, except by people who will be then licensed people who would then take the money from the kiosk to the bank.
And it was brought up in our last meeting that, we are concerned, and we are taking into account that some of our the seniors in the community that might not be so, technologically savvy, the idea came up that we would see if we could implement a quote-unquote ambassador program where people would be near the pay stations or roaming the parking lots with tablets, staff people with tablets where they could assist them in the pay by phone or the pay by tablet, and we could even have people at the pay stations. They could help them navigate that if they're not familiar with it. So
Hopefully volunteers.
yeah, we don't want to. Right, we don't want to just leave people hanging there and say, "Oh my gosh, what do I do now?" And then they're stuck and
Right.
they don't know how to. Now, I think most people are familiar with the pay stations these days, but certainly, you get up into certain age brackets, and they might not be all that capable on a smartphone.
Well,
So-
speaking for people at that certain age bracket,
well, you're an exception to the rule, Gary. I have to say.
no, older people go to the mall
Yeah.
and they pay at the pay stations, and many of them also have phones because they communicate with their grandchildren via Facebook, via, what's the,
Skype?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
shouldn't
Skype
take-
and
we
other
should-
things.
yeah,
No,
I
we are
think,
going
we're
to
not
make it
taking
easy,
for granted
but I
that
would-
everybody is-
I know,
is
I'm not going to
capable,
take
yeah.
it for granted, but I think we are underestimating the capabilities of the over 65 generation. I said underestimating the capabilities, so.
I have a
Somebody
question,
who
Mr.
still has
Supervisor.
90-year-old parents.
I'm assuming that the system will be up and running for this coming season. Is that the plan?
It's the goal.
That is the hope,
Okay.
yes. That is the hope. So there's there's lots of groundwork that still has to be done. And, I'm sure, Benny, we talked to Benny about it, and Emily, and they're fully aware, and Debbie, obviously, and we're talking about well, you folks you're a mayor in Portchester. You know what it takes to install these machines, all right? The infrastructure that's required, breaking ground, pouring the pad, running the wires or the cables or whatever it is and stuff. So it's
The hope is to have it ready for
That's
yeah,
the
the
hope.
because we're talking about 2, maybe 3 pay stations.
And that's, at a base cost, if we bought them outright, they're about $11,000 per. So it's also a commitment from the commission to buy or lease these. The lease option's obviously cheaper, but more expensive over time. And then there's also the license plate reader and the software, so.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's going to be a financial commitment here.
But we do have, Rita was working on getting some additional numbers to demonstrate her anticipated,
We
revenue.
don't think, we probably, and the proof will be in the numbers, but we do believe that this will not negatively impact parking revenue whatsoever. In our real hope, and I think it's a realistic hope, that it will end up as a net positive impact on parking revenue.
Not only that, but on the net revenue as well, because, if this works, we will have to hire fewer employees.
Exactly.
We would have to,
So overall,
we're talking about, by the way, we're also talking about having the app applicable to beach passes.
yes.
So we would be able to eliminate not only people taking money for parking and et cetera, but also at the beach entrances.
Right.
We haven't gotten to that technology.
We haven't
step
gotten
yet.
there yet, but we are working on getting there.
Right. It's part of the whole, it's all part of the parcel.
Right,
They probably don't work.
okay. Any
Yeah,
questions?
yeah, I have one other question. Is there a letter going to be sent to the municipalities as far as seeking the help that was mentioned for sweepers and striping?
It wasn't an official letter. I sent emails to both, all 3 village managers this
Okay.
afternoon.
Okay, oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it was just this afternoon. So
Okay, thank you.
we appreciate the fact that, I know Rye is the closest one, and they have a robust DPW, but, You know, should have some skin in the game. That's my feeling.
I did already get somewhat of an answer from the Village of Rybrook that explained that their painter is not meant for the kind of distances to travel from Rybrook to the park, and therefore it would have to come by trailer. And the timing may not work because they do their painting at a different time of year. But these are all details we have to.
Yeah,
That's a
we
painter,
can-
not the
if-
street sweeper.
If we could just,
That's a painter, not the street
if
All right,
sweeper.
but we need both.
but if we
Yeah.
could, if we can cobble this together with the various departments of public works, I think that would be great.
Yeah,
Perhaps
absolutely.
the 3 or 4 departments can either have a conference call, talk about it, and it's not it's not a big financial commitment. I mean, to sweep,
If we're asking one village or city to, to repave the parking lot at their expense, that would be something else, because we know that's gonna be a hefty price tag. But this
that's
is-
what we're gonna look for
Yeah.
grants to do. All right, thank you, Russ.
Anything else I can help you with at this time?
Yep, Thank you. All right, Debbie, you have a management report?
The management report was submitted.
Okay.
I would add that we were advised that our diesel tank has been causing, the quality of the fuel has gotten dirty in the tank, and we either needed to get the tank cleaned or replaced. The costs being what they are, replacing is by far the better option. And we've received one proposal. I'm expecting another one next week. So that's something that we'll be heading toward.
What's the diesel thing for?
The diesel tank provides diesel fuel for the tractor that cleans the beach.
So it's just like a tank that sits there?
It is.
Where does
It
it
currently
sit?
resides in the vehicle garage.
Got it.
I would say there's also a new grant that we just discovered yesterday, offered by the department, DEC, Environmental Conservation, to provide support for the elimination of invasive species like Phragmites. The due date on that grant is before our next meeting. Helen Thurston, who wrote our other grant applications, is available and interested in working on that, but there wasn't enough time to pull together a proposal or a resolution. But I wanted to alert you to that.
I think that as soon as she firms up her proposal, we'll send it via email to the commissioners, and if there's no objection, we'll go forward and approve the resolution, as they say, non-pro-tunc, at the next meeting. Agreed?
That sounds
All
good.
right. Good, okay. Well, that's it, folks.
Wow.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we meet on February 12th at Rye City Hall.